And you cite international law at us, while you willfully ignore Israel's occupation of Palestine as defined by the United Nations itself. We will never forget your friendship with Mubarak and Assad, your unconditional support of an occupying Israel, the way you used us as mujahideen in Afghanistan only to turn on us once you got what you wanted. You chose your side and we have chosen ours. We've come to know that no amount of civilized pleading, no amount of appealing to your humanity, for your mercy, no amount of playing by your rules in your game will move you. You are stupefied in ignorant bliss while we bleed and secrete pus from every orifice. There is only one thing you people value and cherish, and that is your own lives, your own happiness, and your own selfish oblivion. If inflicting upon you even an atom's weight of the pain we suffer at your hands wakes you from your stupor and forces you to listen to our cries as we drown, then I'm afraid we have finally decided that though it's a very hard choice, the price we think is worth it.
Mm. All right, you've won me over. I'm becoming a jihadist.
Yes. Yeah. I'll send my bank account details. You can send me the check later on.
I think the wise thing for you to do now would probably be to counter that steel man.
Well, I think everyone else can do that. I've spoken too much.
Sam?
Well, I actually would add to the side of the balance against the Enlightenment in that I think there's more to the case for... There's more that explains why we find ourselves in this uncanny position of having to defend Enlightenment values and reason and a scientific worldview against creeping theocracy and just naked tribalism, populism, all these eruptions of seemingly archaic and discredited ideas. And it's far simpler than just exporting our chaos to other countries and dropping bombs where we can find no other way to persuade people to just buy our products or whatever it is we intend. It's just that it's hard to live an unambiguously good life. It's hard to live a profound life. It's hard to live a life that you know each day is working. And it's pretty clear that living a good life entails more than just not being wrong about things scientifically. And it entails more than just having reasonably free markets that produce the next smartphone that you desperately want to buy. And so it's on the problem of what it means to live a good life that these kind of ancient worldviews continue to market themselves as the only game in town. I mean, so religions of all kinds, but there's something uniquely captivating about Islam in this regard because it really is the whole package in terms of its egalitarianism, it's the kind of the swiftness with which you can be indoctrinated into it, the fact that if you are kind of on the high testosterone side of things, it offers a militant and James Bondian adventure if you want to go and fight for the one true faith. And so it offers meaning in a way that's really, it's just off-the-shelf kind of meaning that you can get. And what we're struggling for, I think, in a secular context is how you can connect people with meaning and purpose and profundity without lying to them or causing them to lie to themselves about the nature of reality or what we have every reason to believe about it. And that's a challenge that we're trying to meet, I think, in piecemeal ways, but I think we're all to some degree or another suffering the lack of a shelf in the bookstore that has no bullshit on it, that does describe a philosophy of life and a way of living that is more than just seeing what's on Netflix every night.
Would that be, are you describing the power of myth?
Yeah, I was just going to say, somewhere in North America, Jordan Peterson is just waking up, bolt upright in bed going, what bullshit? There's not bullshit. Sorry he couldn't be here. It's too damn far. Douglas.
Yeah.
It's bloody far. Douglas, the loss of meaning in the West and the loss of a spine amongst Western intellectuals, the loss of a sense that there is something worthy of defending, is one of the themes that you come back to a lot.
Sure. I just say at the beginning, I could go through every one of the things that Maajid just listed in that and shoot them down, but that would take a little while. Let me just make one observation about the list, which is the enormous risk that often happens of people absorbing the arguments of opponents who do not wish you well. So, for instance, on interventionism, you never hear, in fact, I've said this to Maajid before, but I've never heard anyone from the Islamic world say, thank God for NATO.
Yeah.
But they should.
But by the way, I'll spend the rest of my book debunking these,
sure.
Just for everyone's,
But I mean, they shouldn't. The reason I mention this is for the selective historical reasons which we in the West are at risk of imbibing. For instance, I say, why does nobody say thank God for NATO? Because if NATO hadn't have intervened in Kosovo, I think it's widely agreed that a severe genocide would have occurred on the continent of Europe, worse than was already happening. NATO intervened. We don't expect thank yous endlessly, but once would be something. And
thank you, Douglas.
So I have. It's not enough. But this is just worth remembering, because a generation and a lot of people from a generation are at risk of imbibing basically the jihadists' arguments about us. And I just put that out there at the beginning. The second thing I'd just say quickly is, I mean, the fascinating thing now about looking back at, for instance, intervention in Afghanistan is that, it's one of the great fallacies of history which we're always vulnerable to, which is to think that everyone knew in the past what we know now. And, until the 1980s, the major threat to countries like ours was global communism, the Soviet expansionism. We saw it as a major threat. And anyone who doubts that just has to say that, I mean, if up until, I've often thought of this, until as late as basically the 10th of September 2001, if you said, in the early years of the 21st century, politicians, journalists, public intellectuals and others are going to spend years talking about Islam. Say, what? Why? How come? It's not that interesting. It's not that vital in our societies. It's a bit of our societies. It's not overwhelming. If you said, okay, you're going to be discussing Islamic blasphemy laws all across Scandinavia for years. Why?
And the jurisprudence of face veils.
Yeah, and you're going to be the major debate in the UK in August 2018 is going to be the burqa. How does that happen? I don't see I don't see the way.
That is a bit surreal, isn't it?
So here's the deep underlying thing, which is that religion's back. And most people in the West don't know how to talk about it or think about it. And I've just got this endless concern about this matter, because I've had this conversation, as I think a lot of other people here have, for years with politicians and others, and they still don't understand the nature of this. And I just give you one example quickly. A little while ago, I was speaking to a TV producer who came over to me at a party somewhere and said, it was at the height of ISIS, and she said, what do ISIS want, Douglas? And I thought, oh, okay. Well,
they're actually quite upfront about it generally.
Yeah, they're quite. They've done a lot of speaking about this and a lot of writing, and they basically want to bring about the end. They invite the world to Islam and bring about the end times. And this woman looked at me and she said, she said, well, that's ridiculous. I mean, they can't. I said, what do they really want? And I said, well, they say that they want to invite the world to Islam, or their version of Islam, and then we'll bring about the end of times. And she just looked at it like, I don't see that. I don't. So, and then I realized, well, if I just said to her, basically what ISIS are after is like a 2.5% reduction in VAT. she'd have been all over it. Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. Well, would they settle for 1.2? You know, we'd have been able to talk about
It is a bit high, isn't it?
Let's find some compromise. But she had no idea. And that for me, in a nutshell, is one of the things, one of the many things we're walking through at the moment, is the inability of people in societies like ours to realize that some of our opponents believe that they have the explanation for everything, the justification for everything, the meaning of everything, now, yesterday, tomorrow, and to the ends of time and eternity. And we say, come again? At the very least, we have to educate ourselves about this.